What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. I am your host, Stevie. This is episode 500, y'all. I am so excited to be celebrating 500 episodes alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. Episode 500. I'm so excited.
Happy 500.
Happy 500. You don't look a day over 499.
Oh, well, thank you so much, bitch. And you may not make it to 501. Moving on to we have an announcement to make. And the announcement on our 500th episode is joining us now as a regular. He won't be on every episode, but think The View, think Ana Navarro, is Teddy Alexis Rodriguez. He has substituted for us throughout the last couple years, and now he's a regular on TAGSPodcast. You're going to be hearing a lot more from him. Welcome, Teddy. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. You two don't look a day over 100, bitch. I love it. I'm the Ana Navarro TAGSPodcast.
I know, right?
Did you like that? That just
I
came
love that.
into my mind, and I was like, oh, yes. He's so
Yes.
Ana Navarro. And you know how
Yeah.
they made her a host, and she said,
Mhm.
well, I live in Miami, so she does Mondays and Fridays, and she made it work for her, but she's an official host, y'all. So congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
we
It's
are
my
so
honor.
Yes, we're so happy to
That's so
have
wonderful.
you.
Welcome, boo.
Yes.
I think I had a dream about this, and it was not. I hope this turns out better than a dream. I'll just say that.
Oh.
Okay.
It's a great fall thing, though, to announce, and we're super excited. So we've got a
Yes.
lot, though, to get into on this 500th episode, starting with drama. And I'm talking about, OnlyFans. There's drama over there, too. You thought it was just the actor world. You thought it was just the porn industry. Well, it's happening over in OnlyFans world. And I'm talking about OnlyFans creators Loc Rios, also with Lazzarato. Is that how you say his name, Kodi?
That's how I would say it. So I
Lazzarato.
guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me see if I can just break this down for you all real quick. There's two videos I'll post on TAGSPodcast so you can see for yourself where essentially Loc Rios recounts 3 weeks that he engaged in this hoopla of a romance with Lazzarato, all happening in Europe. And Loc Rios went to Twitter to say essentially that he was held hostage in Madrid by Josh Moore's ex-boyfriend, Lazzarato, and is urging gays to beware of this man. So just for some background reference, Loc Rios is early 20s and Lazzarato is 40, I believe. And so
Okay.
they met in a weekend. I'm thinking it was like a circuit week party. They met and fell in love literally on the dance floor. It was this whole thing. And that night, Loc Rios claims in the video that Lazzarato said, I want you to be my boyfriend. And then later that night or the next day said, I'm in love with you. Like, I love you.
Ooh.
Well, Loc Rios being a little bit younger didn't really see these red flags.
Yup,
And
that's what
they
I just was
decided
waving.
They decided to live together in Europe because it was Lazzarato's idea. And the drama ensued not even a few days later where, oh my gosh, all kinds of crazy things. I think the first thing was Loc Rios was, remember, they're both OnlyFans creators. So
Mhm.
Loc Rios was editing one of his scenes on the couch, and Lazzarato was in the room too and lost it and said, why are you doing this? This is insensitive. And it's like, really, bitch? We're both OnlyFans creators, and why? But Loc Rios apologized and said, I didn't know that this would make you upset. And that was just like the primer to things because Lazzaro asked Loc Rios to move to Brazil, and Loc Rios was like, "Oh no, I'm going to Madrid. Why don't you just stay with me in Europe? Come over to Madrid," which they did. They shared an Airbnb at the time, and it just went crazy when Lazzaro, according to Loc Rios, started to complain about Loc Rios, telling him he is skinny and should gain more weight and put on more muscle, complained about him waking him up at night or in the morning because of Loc Rios singing in the shower, and then started charging him for not just things like the Airbnb, but like lube that they both used for a mutual scene together. Imodium, saying that, because people use an Imodium, right, for the back alley.
Wait a minute, not the Imodium judgment, girl.
Told him that he took his Imodium, charged him for that. It got violent. Anyway, I'll let you watch all of it because it's like 2-part video, lots of drama. I want to hear what you guys think on this, and then have you ever experienced, maybe not to this level, but crazy? What did you think when you heard about this, Kodi? The drama of it all.
Look, I'd be a hypocrite if I said that I wasn't an impassioned person. You said crazy, but I say impassioned.
Can I just stop you there? Because we were talking about this over the weekend. And
oh, my goodness.
Kodi goes, Lazzarato, do you know how hot he is? I'm like, but do you know how crazy he is? Because I don't care how hot you are. The minute you show crazy, I am out the back door.
And I said to you, crazy dick is some of the best dick. Okay. Not the mutual eye roll between the two of you. Wow. Wow. Okay. I feel a little shamed here.
Sandwich eye roll.
Get on with it, girl.
Look, I have done some stupid things for love, quote unquote love, but I draw the line at physical violence, extortion, and this man defecated on Loc Rios's stuff. That is way too far. That is beyond.
I wasn't using Imodium that day, apparently.
You almost choked me, Steve. Jesus. I was not expecting that. I feel so bad for Loc because all he wanted was somebody who cared for him, that was going to hold him and not really judge him, and that was emotionally stable and aware and conscious, and which all things that Loc Rios possessed. And he didn't get this. He got an insane man who is probably on some type of alternate substances, and he probably should get some help. And I really wish that he gets the help that he needs. And I really hope that Loc Rios can heal from this, because it seems like Lazzarato is very damaged. So
yeah, it's interesting that you say maybe on some altering substance, Kodi, because one of the things Loc Rios says in these two videos, at least thus far, is that they would go out at night, and one of them came back at 3, the other one stayed out till one time it was 1 p.m., the next time it was 3 p.m. Not that we're shaming people for going out late at night, but certain things occur in the late morning hours that can be fun, but also could be drugs. And so I'm just going to say it. And so maybe it's mental illness, but wow, kind of crazy. What did you think, Teddy, when you heard this whole shenanigans? And my goodness.
Look, none of what they were saying sounded good. Talk about red flags. How about red sirens?
Yeah.
That was a lot of love bombing, which is clear path to abusive people. And all the abusive people are super charming. So you have to be careful on what was happening. I don't know. I never been bullied being called skinny, though. That sounded good. I don't know.
I mean, in their world, that's one of the things that Loc Rios was saying. He says, a lot of you, I'm sure he was probably putting out, I know you all are going to say, why didn't I see the red flags? He is younger. It's his first romantical relationship. But the other thing was, he said things like, I thought it was sort of a good relationship to enter because we both do the same things. We're both OnlyFans creators. And as, you know, who's like two porn stars perhaps, you know, maybe a porn star with a non-porn star is not going to really understand what you do, jealousy and all this kind of stuff. They're in the same world. And so he was thinking this might be great. It's not like they're both seemingly making money for what they both do. So it's not a money issue necessarily. It just sounds dark. But hopefully Loc Rios will, you know, move on to say, you know, when something seems too beautiful and perfect on day one, it probably is. It's like, you know, relationships really are, you know, you take this day by day. And that comes with age, I think. I think all of us have fallen into that gap where you meet somebody. To this day, if I meet somebody, I'm like, oh my God, is he the one? You know, but I, of course, have a little life under my belt to know that, okay, take it back a second. And, you know.
Not me. I go full steam ahead. I'd be like, he is the one, baby.
Anyone?
Well,
go ahead.
There are a couple of things that you can do while trying to do these like grand gestures. Like you can have somebody have your location live all time. Like, why was he in Spain for 3 weeks and, you know, he had a trip back 3 weeks in? Like somebody like your bestie, they notice that you're in Spain for like 2 weeks more than you, like they will check on you. So things like that we can do and still like have a carefree, while being safe at the same time, I guess. That's my recommendation.
I like that. Any of you ever experienced crazy with somebody that you dated?
No, I thought that you were talking to the audience.
Well, yeah, audience, write back and let us know.
Cody,
yes.
Cody. If you haven't experienced crazy, you are crazy.
I am the crazy. I told y'all this before, but
Not
again,
that crazy.
I'm not that crazy. That this is way too far. I'm a very emotional person. I understand, but I also know how to my triggers. That's very important. That I also know when to take a break, which is also super important. So all of these things, it's, you know what? I don't blame Lazzarato for being
Lazzarato.
Yeah, I don't blame Lazzarato for being an impassioned person, but he needs to know where the line is for his, because he's he needs to learn how to manage his emotions.
Extortion.
I blame him.
No, none of this.
100%
I'm not saying
disagree. I blame
I'm not saying
Lazzarato.
Anything that he did was okay. I'm not saying that he should have extorted him, that he should have he physically assaulted that guy. None of that is okay.
And
but
there's
he needs
audio
to
out there, audience, just in case you're wondering, like, how do we kind of know some of this stuff? That's why I'll post it on TAGSPodcast, episode 500. There's actually backup audio that's been, we know it's real. So
yeah, 100%.
But it's still alleged, yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Teddy. But I do think that if he goes to therapy and learns how to handle his emotions, because that's what I feel like is his issue. He can't handle his emotions. So I don't blame him for being emotional. We're all human beings. But he doesn't know how to manage those emotions, and that is an issue.
Oh, I 100% just agree with Loc Rios. Like, stay away from this guy. When Loc Rios says he's dangerous, violent, and a scammer, I'm like, yeah, I want nothing to do with this person at all. I mean, to me, when I was Loc Rios's age, one of the first persons that I went on a date with in a gay relationship was this guy that was older than me. I was 20-something. And I told this on the show before. The first date, I picked him up and he came down with like this Dixie cup filled with wine. And we were already going to a restaurant. And I just thought that was interesting choice to do for a first date. But he ended up
with sirens.
Yeah, one time because something happened in the apartment, he got really mad at me and he opened up the oven door and slammed it shut, and it freaked me out. And I decided to break things off. He wouldn't leave me alone. cut to a moment he contacted I worked at a radio station, a major market radio station. He contacted the programming director, the sales team, our advertisers, saying that I was sleeping around with him. Contacted my dad, told him I was gay when I wasn't out with my dad. And there's more, but just I think I hear Loc Rios, and I don't really care what Lazzarato does at this point. It's crazy. And Kodi, you and I were at a fabulous place celebrating a friend's birthday the other day, and there was sort of like a crazy person. And
oh my God.
I'm all for mental health and but when people aren't managing that and they're at an establishment and they're touching me like they were that day, I don't care. I was the one out of all of us that I was like, no, do not touch me. Get your hand off me. But because I'm like, no, I was like that too. I have no patience for this. And to me, run from Lazzarato.
It was not me. I'm not that crazy. I'm not that type of crazy.
We're talking like violence and things like this.
Yeah. He was way too physical. He was way entirely too touchy-feely and just inserting himself in places that he didn't need to insert himself. And I turned completely, after the initial encounter with him, I turned to the side. I had my eye on him for the rest of the night because you don't know what people like that are capable of. And I don't want to be caught unaware. I got my head on a swivel. I was raised in the hood, baby. Okay.
We do hope that Lazzarato gets the help that he needs because we want to put that out there, but not for me.
Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on, though. Thank you. Next, to Instagram, which seems to be blocking LGBTQ plus accounts, says a new report. Well, forget the report. I can just say that for our own. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this show that both of our Instagram accounts, we had one initially at Talk About Gay Sex, got taken down. No way to get it back. The second one at TAGSPodcast was also taken it down as well. And whether it's artificial intelligence policing content or a bias by human reviewers, LGBTQ plus people and sex education accounts appear to be at a higher rate of being partially blocked by users on Instagram. And the blocking of content is referred to as shadow banning. Meta calls shadow banned posts non-recommendable content, and accounts throttled with such a limit won't be shown to users other than followers. So if you have things like Reels, you might think it's going out to everybody else. It's not. And up until last December, there really was no way of knowing whether one was a subject of a shadow ban or not. It's been updated to let people know, but it's caused me to not even put up another Tags podcast. We have a new show coming out a little bit later this fall. Just get ready, Kodi and I. And this one is definitely suitable for work, because that whole NSFW, not suitable for work, which sometimes puts our current show, Tags Podcast, in that acronym. With this new show, we better be able to have our Instagram account and not be taken down. But it's appeared to be all LGBTQ plus accounts. Not all, but many. Teddy, when you heard this, do you think it's targeting our community, or do you think it's lost in this new AI?
Yeah, I think it's all part of AI and algorithm. Yesterday, actually, my school posted about my show that we have auditions tonight. And I commented saying, if you have any questions, let me know. And the algorithm deleted me because I was spamming. So you know how you always get like DM me to collaborate? I mean, all that stuff gets through all the time. Why is my post on a legitimate school that I'm teach at? It's it's just part of how they baked it in, which obviously has some bias baked into it because people have biases. And, because we are part of the LGBT community, it's deemed as sexual content, even though it's not. And it's a whole mess that apparently they don't want to fix. And it's fixable. Literally, take off the tags of LGBT / gay, whatever the tags are. Those tags are making our content be sexualized when it's not.
Yeah,
and
I
have
mean,
more people review it.
yeah, I mean, Kodi, why do you think that it's like we talk about sex education, sex positivity? We often report on health updates. We are not posting porn, not that we love porn, but
I mean,
why is it okay then for like Kim Kardashian and other people of that nature can be naked, practically booty out there, and then like we get flagged?
it's for the straight male gaze. Those are the people that the algorithm is tailored to, straight white men, basically. So if it's not anything that they find attractive or they deem outside of their norm, then they're going to flag it as something that they don't want to necessarily see. And until Instagram becomes more inclusive, we probably should make our own spaces to where we have more freedom to actually post the things that we want to post, and we don't have to deal with this type of discrimination because it's just ridiculous. I don't know. I felt like I was shadow banned for a while too because my posts are very high, okay, and I don't be getting the likes that I think I should be getting, but I don't know about that, okay?
They are very hot. I would agree with you, but I do love your point about it would be kind of cool if a gay entrepreneur created a social media site for the LGBTQ plus community, right? And
for sure.
We could keep our Instagram accounts, we could keep our threads and so on and so forth, but we would have this safe, hopefully safe social media space. Okay, well, we got to talk about some health news, and apparently based on a new study on HIV stigma, finds that Gen Z has a lot more work to do. And why? It's because, so Gen Z, just so you guys know, is people born between 1997 and 2012.
That's me.
That is not you, bitch.
He's late 20s in gay world.
And you don't want to be a part of this because these people don't know what's really going on. So they came out, right. State of HIV Stigma report from GLAAD, the U.S. advocacy group, published the results in its annual survey. So the most clued in about HIV is mine, Generation X, who were born between 1965 and 1980. I don't have my camera on, so I can't see your faces, but 62% of this age bracket considered themselves knowledgeable about HIV. And I've talked about this ad nauseum on the show, along with Lincoln, who's also Gen X. When we decided to come out in our 20s was the height of the AIDS epidemic. And so we had no choice but to be fearful and get that whole test that took at the time a couple of weeks to get your results, and you were, freaked out. Well, millennials are considered themselves knowledgeable about the virus, 50% of responders, followed by baby boomers, and only 34% of Gen Z felt they were knowledgeable about the virus. Even more concerningly, 5% of Gen Z said they were not aware of the virus. That's crazy, though. I mean, there's so many films and TV shows out there now. I mean, all you got to do is, did you not watch Pose? Which, I mean, come on. But is this surprising to you, Teddy, that this age bracket is potentially unaware? And I should back this up, that the science is also showing that they're having sex younger, so 13 and younger, and they are the highest. They are getting HIV in higher numbers than other age brackets.
57% of new cases.
Thank you.
I am not surprised because I teach Gen Zs, and the amount of things that I think. So the parents of the Gen Zs are millennials, and I think we overcorrected too much what the baby boomers did to us. So we protect the kids way too much. So we over sanitize everything. So I think that's what we're seeing when some of these kids are having sex since middle school. Like I'm telling you, some of these kids are very sexually active, but they have absolutely no idea of the STDs, and we do have an STI pandemic still going on. And
we're going to talk about that in a minute, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so the kids really don't know what they're doing, and just because you don't talk about it, I feel like that's how HIV also got around a lot in the 90s because people would like not getting tested just not to know. And I think some of that is still embedded in the behaviors right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kodi, one of the things that I found interesting was that there's a lot of TV ads out there that promote PrEP, Truvada, and you can get a lot of that information. But I would imagine that a lot of Gen Zers don't watch a lot of TV. They consume more TikTok. And I would think there would be videos out there of pro Truvada, be safe, but maybe there isn't the messaging out there. Maybe it's not on the apps like we really think it is. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's an actually really good idea because that's where a lot of Gen Zers get their information from. They imbibe a lot of the TikToks and all that good stuff. So that is a wonderful idea. First, I just want to say, first of all, 13 is wild to me to be having sex because I was still in the easy bake oven. Okay, at 13, making them little nasty cookies and doing all that kind of stuff. So
you didn't want to put anything in your oven other than a cupcake.
Other than a little nasty half-formed cupcake. You're right. But I do not find this surprising because in the age of PrEP and antiretrovirals, this is something that these kids have not had. And I say kids because I am a Gen Xer as well. I just scrape by for Gen X. Okay, I make jokes about being Gen Z or whatever, but I am a Gen Xer.
You're a baby boomer.
And proud. You know what, bitch?
You're off the grid, girl.
But
just because there were babies in it,
right?
Anyway, so this is something that they have not had to deal with and necessarily take stock of. When we were younger, we were inundated with protect yourself from HIV because it was an epidemic. We knew people that were passing away. We knew people that had the virus and were living with it successfully. And I think that when you don't have that type of pressure upon you, it's very easy to not think about it at all or educate yourself on it, like this case.
And, you know, I'm going to say we always talk about newer generations and the bar scene is dead. I don't think it is at all. I think post-pandemic, at least in major cities, I'm talking about New York here, I think LA, Chicago, bars are opening up again. And you go to a lot of these spaces and they're filled with millennials and Gen Zers, and it's really refreshing. So I want to propose that we go back to the old days when I used to go to the bars and you had activists out there in your spaces talking about, at the time it was condoms and things of that nature. But what if they started going to the bars, which I do think they're going to now? Everybody wants to see your favorite drag performer from Drag Race in these bars that are touring all over the country. Everybody is, I think we are getting, we say everyone's on the apps, but in major cities, people are going out, I think, now. And why not go back to the old days? Instead of condoms, just talk about, are you aware of your sex practices, STIs? Maybe you can get checked there. You could get information about free getting on PrEP. Do you have insurance? Like, have activists out there in the spaces that we are now inhabiting. So I don't know. That's my thing, but
that's an amazing idea.
Yeah. Okay. Staying on health news, you tapped a little bit on it of STIs, Teddy. Syphilis is on the rise, and a new rise in England, actually. I would say all over, but cases in England are on the rise. And Dean Street Sexual Health Clinic did a whole diagnostic, and it's the largest number of syphilis cases since 1948, with cases increasing by 15.2% from 2021 to 2022. So 7,500 cases in 2021 to 8,600 and a few change in 2022. And despite sexually transmitted infections usually being treated with antibiotics, they can also cause serious health issues if left untreated. This is a great story that I'll post on TAGSPodcast.com because it's worth going through the misinformation. There's a lot of people that think if you get syphilis, is it staying in your system forever? And it just keeps, according to this article, the antibodies in your system. And it's really important to know, get tested very often, but some of the things you can look out for are ulcers and sores on the genitals that are known as chancre. Did I say that right? Chancre, and are often painless.
Sounds right to me.
Okay. Also, signs that you could have this is a rash that spreads across the body, tiredness and exhaustion, and are generally feeling unwell. And they say in this article as well that if you get tested and it doesn't show up that you have syphilis, syphilis takes a little bit longer to show up. So even if you're not sexually active in a current period of time, they recommend that you still get tested because it could appear later on and be latent in your body. So it's, I think for our community, I'm going to do this for myself, get tested like maybe every 2 weeks. I'm going to start doing this. I have a clinic here that's free that I can go to and not bother my doctor, so he's not aware, and I know that's a privilege that I have living in New York with the Chelsea Free Clinic and other people in major cities. Teddy, what do you think about the syphilis rise?
Well, first of all, every 2 weeks, congratulations.
Well, I said it's
It means you have to be doing some things in order to have to go every 2 weeks.
Listen, they say even when you're not sexually active.
Congratulations is all I have to say. We have to be careful. Syphilis is scary. She's in danger. And they were talking about something called neurosyphilis. Do you read that part where if you don't get it treated, it transfers to your brain and causes damage? So you'll be careful out there. I think if you're very active, get tested and use condoms as much as you can. I know that's like a hard sell sometimes. No pun intended. Haha.
Kodi?
Yes, I get tested regularly as well now, especially.
How often?
You know what? I've been in a monogamous relationship for the past 2.5 years, but I'm not in that anymore. I'm feeling my oats right now. And after a particularly wild weekend or week, I think, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go and just make sure. So I went that Monday following or Tuesday, whatever, beginning of the week. And I went to my doctor and I said, just test me for everything because I need to know what's going on. I would rather know and treat it and not get neurosyphilis. That is wild to me. So now thank you so much, Steve, for bringing this to light because now we know that we need to continue going because syphilis is such an underlying issue and it can hide. And so
listen, we're sex positive. The science is on our favor currently right now, but there's things that are on the rise, STIs. What you can do is, I think, just factor it into your monthly scheduling is what we have to do if you find yourself more sexually active during a period of time. And I think as long as you do that, calendaring is really great, right, life coach Kodi?
That's right.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm going to do at least, because I think that's the only way I can factor everything in, plan this show, plan my STI check, that kind of stuff. And, So, perfect. Okay. Well, we love when you guys write into us. And I don't know that we're going to have a lot of good news for this listener, but they did start off by saying, I love the podcast. I am a fan of poppers too. I love being in the context of poppers in our show. That's really great. I really, really want to get the strongest original amyl nitrate poppers. And there are sites in the UK that sell them, but I'm hesitant. Do you have any suggestions on how to get this? Thanks so much, Mike. Well, first of all, thanks, Mike, for being a listener and for enjoying our show. We really appreciate it. You can leave, and we want all our listeners to leave a 5-star review for us on Apple Podcasts, because that's when you spread the word, and it really helps us out. So that goes for everybody listening. If you like the show, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. It will only help us out. All right, that's my sell. What I was just in Puerto Vallarta, and I convinced myself, although I don't think it's true, that we are no longer selling poppers here in the States. So, of course, I ran to my local, I think I told the story where I went into the dressing room and had fun with the sales clerk, but I did buy my poppers there. You and I were talking, Kodi, about poppers, and you had some thoughts on you get headaches now because you think that they don't have amyl nitrate in them anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's just because they changed the whole composition of it. And I think that, I know that it's because the United States outlawed a lot of things that were in poppers beforehand. Girl, in the 90s, for Gen X, okay, poppers were it. I did a hit of poppers one time, and back in my day, poppers were much stronger. It was amazing. It was like I was riding on air. So I understand this person's reluctance, or they feel like they're missing out on something, because poppers used to be really, really great. And I think that I was reading what you sent me, Steve, I saw that some people were talking about making their own poppers, and I was like, that sounds like a horrible idea. Were you going to say that too, Teddy?
Yeah, that was literally when they were like, oh, here's a do-yourself recipe. I'm like, that's a flammable chemical. That sounds like a horrible idea.
Well, and it's so funny because I was listening to this other podcast recently about toxins that are in all of our products in our home. And so I bought this new book on the power of using essential oils to create your own products that are scent-free but real essential oils. And so this idea, of course, is chemical and would be like the worst thing of doing. I think we all know when we're partaking in poppers that hopefully we're of a healthy state in mind, and a little goes a long way. The new formulations, I think, give a lot of people headaches, is what you were saying, Kodi, right?
Yeah, it does. I don't even do poppers anymore. I can't maintain an erection by using the poppers now. And it just gives me a headache. It's not fun. And so I would like to know where we can buy the original recipe.
Well, I have some information on that. That's not going to be great news for those that want that, but I want to hear from Teddy. And do you like poppers in general? So let's just start with that.
I do like poppers, but I feel I only used them recently, so I cannot compare to the previous recipe, which I'm really jealous about.
They were great,
so
girl.
I'm like, oh, if this could get better?
Yeah.
So, but my only thing is, if you're not a chemist, do not try it at home, please, because you're gonna blow something up and it's not gonna be your load.
Ooh, I like that. And yeah, I think that, sorry, the news isn't that great, but one of the responders, I did a little bit of deep dive. I sent it to you guys. I will post this on TAGSPodcast. It does come from other people that are speculating on all of this stuff, but one of them sounded pretty legitimate, and they said, actually, butyl nitrite is more reactive than amyl. I would encourage you to buy butyl routes, as it is not only more reactive, but many of the old school formulas from the good old days of poppers were butyl nitrate. Amyl also has a tendency to cause more phlegm, congestion, and coughing. The do-it-yourself thing, they say is may or may not work, but they also say when you try and buy overseas, even though they say they're amyl nitrate, might not necessarily be that. So you're kind of running the risk that they said something to the effect that these labs, or, I'm using air quotes, of where they create these chemicals, there is no presiding somebody watching over on what the formula is, so you really don't know what you're getting. They can say anything exactly. So
Oh
I
wow.
would say, if I would have to advise on this, that either learn to like the ones that you can currently get in your home cities, and or find another way to get yourself excited and into it, because maybe those days are long gone of those, I just think
Oh.
I just think, let's be honest with this, and we don't want people buying things over the internet
Yes.
from a lab in Timbuktu. Who knows what they're voodooing it and packaging up and putting in snail mail. No. That's my advice. But,
Yes.
and
I
I
agree with
feel
you.
for you. But, I'm using these ones that I bought from Mexico, and I think they're good, but a little goes a long way. And if I do too much of them, it's a headache. I did them last night, and it was fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And that's all I'm saying.
Wow.
Perfect.
Wow.
We also love giving some advice from Reddit threaders. And on this particular one, they posted the question, what is something you thought was hot in theory, but turned out not to be in actual practice? I always thought it would be hot having a guy lick me under my balls, but in reality, it tickled so much I could hardly stand it. Well, you can imagine there were so many things that people said. Somebody said sex on the beach between the sand and the heat and the bugs. It was very unsatisfying ordeal. I had it in Mykonos once, but I didn't lie in the sand. I was on a rock at 5 a.m. getting pounded, and I actually liked it. But somebody also said, similarly, sex in the woods. We did it on a big rock. My ass hurt for days, and not in a good way. Shower sex, somebody said. I have to second this. It seems like it would be hot or romantic or whatever, but it's just awkward. I like that. The one that I thought was hot always, and for the longest time in the early days of the show, I think I always said I was a size queen. I don't think I'm really a size queen anymore. I can appreciate it, but I don't think I really am that way anymore. It's like I got rid of that. But during those days, DP, double penetrative sex, I always wanted to have, and I did try it with two guys, and let me tell you, the configuration, and guys, I do yoga and all, a former gymnast. We were contorting our bodies to get those dicks lined up to get into my ass, and it was just clumsy, and the way it, like, I had better sex with just one dick, even a average sized dick, than I did with this double penetrative sex that sounded hot in theory, but ultimately executing it was a miss.
Okay. I was like, can I go next? Yeah.
Yes, please.
So double DP being the top is amazing. Rubbing up against someone else's dick while you're fucking somebody is outstanding. I've never felt pleasure like that in my mind ever in all my years of having sex. It was so good, and I would love to do it again. And so if anybody wants to call me so we can do we can DP about them.
Okay, let me cut your mic off right now.
But and sex on the beach, as far as sex on the beach is concerned, I say do it in the water instead, because I do like sex in the water, and I've had sex in the water before, and sex in the shower is fine with me. The thing that I do not like is 69. I hate 69 because I would like to focus.
It seems like it should fade out. It seems very old school, right?
Yeah, I feel like I would like to focus on receiving or giving pleasure, because I'm down for both.
Too.
It is. I'm like, oh my God, can we just stop doing this? I just need to focus and get into it.
Interesting. I never thought of that, but I don't really love it either. And it just
really
seems too, like, we set this up, like, we're both gonna, like, and it's like, no, don't. Yeah. Get rid of it.
I hear you. And I'm down for a lot of things. So what about you, Teddy?
Can we hear from our new host, Teddy Alexis?
I agree. If you have to do CrossFit to have sustenance in a position, I don't want it. Pass. Thank you. One that I always wanted was to have sex in the shower of the gym. But because I always worked at the gym, I never did it. However, when I moved here, I didn't have a gym job. So I tried it, and it was not fun. I was so scared the whole time. everything was so fast and not fun. Like I didn't have a good time. So I am actually one of those rare people that I like to have more time and not worry about somebody walking in. So
Yeah, no,
I've
it
done
can be
that too.
freaky. But
I loved it.
I've done that too.
I know.
I like it. I liked it at the time.
It was not with me though.
My gym doesn't have a shower right now, so I'm on my own. And we wanted to end it on a positive note, and we're talking about Madonna. If you remember, I remember it all too clear. It was 1989. I was a senior in high school, living my best life, I thought, at the time. And Madonna had the Like a Prayer album out. Well, Pepsi contacted her, and she did a Pepsi commercial. But because the religious right at the time imploded over all of the images that were in the Like a Prayer video, so think burning a cross, they all called it blasphemous. So
Like
Pepsi,
Jesus.
Yep. Okay. They removed the whole commercial, and it's a really good commercial. Well, a recent Queer Tea post said like a vindication, and in honor of Pepsi's 125th anniversary, the beverage giant has reissued the infamous Madonna ad they pulled in 1989 after the Queen of Pop's Like a Prayer video caused such implosion by the right. And it's really fun. She looks amazing in it, and I'm just happy. I liken it to Vanessa Williams, one of my other favorite artists of all time, when they took her crown away in the last few weeks of Miss America, but a few years ago decided to say an apology to Vanessa Williams as, first of all, she didn't need that apology. But so all I can say is congratulations, Madonna. And all we need next for me to be happy is Janet Jackson and that Super Bowl. And then I'm good.
Perfect.
Well, we want to really thank and congratulate and welcome Teddy Alexis as one of our newer hosts on TAGSPodcast. You can follow Teddy on Instagram at Teddy Alexis, correct? And your website, teddyrodriguez.com. Absolutely.
Yes.
And you can follow Kodi, our other co-host. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching on Instagram. KMD Coaching, or his personal account, Mr. Maurice. Follow me. I am _Steve V on Instagram. Go to the website, TAGSPodcast.com. And if you like us, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and share our content. We really appreciate it. It will really help us, guys. And in the meantime, continue having Teddy hot, gay, sex. Yay! We did
Happy
it.
500!
Happy 500!
Happy 500!